All right, Steeler fans, it is time for the mailbag segment, the second half of the Let's Ride podcast. Every single Wednesday, you know what happens. Every Tuesday morning, I put out a tweet on my Twitter feed. All you have to do is find me on Twitter at jhartman, HARTMAN_PIT. You don't have to follow me, but all you have to do is just respond to the tweet. Didn't have a ton of questions, and that's okay. Let's dive into this now. Believers, he gives us the Ride or Die Crew poll of the week. The question is, do you think the Steelers give Aaron Rodgers more flexibility with the offense compared to the guys they didn't trust? Things like audibles, changes, use the whole field, etc. So the options were more control, same control, less control. I don't think that Aaron Rodgers is going to come to the Steelers if he's going to have less control over the offense. I just don't think that's how he operates. So I actually voted for that they would give him more control, that they would view Aaron Rodgers as, look, man, you've been here, you've done that, you've won Super Bowls, you're a 4-time MVP. We trust you here. So go out and do it. That's just what I think. Let's go to Eric. He said, when Mike Tomlin said, quote, "Oh, there's going to be big changes," end quote, when talking at the end of last season, in your opinion, what do you think he meant? As this offseason drags on, and maybe drags on isn't the right terminology, but still, as it goes on, I think that Mike Tomlin said that only to ease the burden and the questions that were being asked of him at that time in front of the media and also to the fan base. So in other words, I think he was appeasing us, the fans, giving us what we wanted at that time. So he said, oh, there's going to be big changes. It's an inevitability of this part of the year. And so we as the fans were like, finally, thank you, Lord. We all probably knew, even the biggest Mike Tomlin detractors probably knew he wasn't going anywhere. But we hoped other changes were going to happen in the coaching staff. Did they? No, they didn't. Okay, well, I wrote about it. I talked about it on my podcast. Maybe the changes are going to come in free agency. They have all this cap space, right? Did we really see that? I'm going to say no. So, no, the changes didn't happen for whatever reason. Maybe it was Mike Tomlin, maybe it's Art Rooney II. I don't know. But I think that at the time, what he meant was, I'm just trying to get you off my back. We just lost 5 games in a row. I realize I haven't won a playoff game since 2016. And I'm going to say whatever I can so that y'all get off my back, at least for now. And that's what he did. Let's go to Jeff Coons. Greetings from Not Mad Canada. Forget Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson for a moment. Hypothetically, the Steelers skip quarterback in the 2025 draft altogether. What is a realistic name for who could join Mason Rudolph in completing the quarterback room by kickoff in September? And he says Devlin Hodges is an appropriate answer. I'm going to say that, when you look at the quarterbacks still available, there are some quarterbacks out there that would be okay. Like a Drew Lock is still available. I think a Jacoby Brissett is still out there. These guys that have been around the block. If you're going into the season with Mason Rudolph as QB1, you're basically like, we just got to fill this room out. And maybe they like Skylar Thompson enough that he would be QB2. And maybe they take an undrafted quarterback to be QB3. I don't know. That's just my gut instinct at this time. Let's go to Maddie. He says, howdy from Atlanta. So the Giants got Russ locked down. This was yesterday. So it seems like it's either Rodgers to Pittsburgh or bust. But if he somehow doesn't sign, what are the best options for the Steelers, both realistic options and non-realistic dream scenario signing/drafting? Thanks. As always, God bless. And here we go. So, all right. So let's do this the right way. So I wrote this article for SteelCurtainNetwork.com the other day, and it was kind of like the best of what's left at positions of need. And so we'll go through this at quarterback. Here are some of the players who still remain available as of this being recorded: Aaron Rodgers, Trey Lance, Drew Lock, Desmond Ridder, Case Keenum, Joe Flacco. Now, what I'll do is I'll even give you all a little bit of a more in-depth list. Maybe there's some other names you like on here. I already talked about Carson Wentz is out there. Josh Johnson, CJ Beathard, Teddy Bridgewater, Jeff Driscoll, Brett Rippon, Tyler Huntley, Tim Boyle. That's it. Like, that's what we're talking about here, folks. It is the bottom of the barrel as it pertains. I thought Jacoby Brissett was on there. I guess he's not. It's bottom of the barrel talk for quarterbacks. So, yeah, I don't know what they're going to do. As for drafting, I really am not interested in them drafting anyone. I know the Steelers are high on Quinn Ewers. I heard that from our source inside the facility. They like him. I don't think they're going to draft him high, but they like the kid from Texas. Let's go to RJ McCollum. After all the teams presented rule changes, I'm surprised none of them suggest putting a chip in the ball. I don't even know why they still have chains anymore. Well, RJ, the chip in the ball was part of them. They've openly stated, the NFL, they're going to try and do the electronic first downs this year. They've already stated that. So they're going to have to put the chips in the ball. I don't think that had to be a proposed rule change by an official team like we saw with the Green Bay Packers proposing to get rid of the tush push. Let's go to Doc M. He says, I want to draw a comparison to the Titans. They drafted quarterback Will Levis relatively high. That was a second-round pick. Had miserable seasons and is in line. They're in line to draft another quarterback. Should the Steelers be taking more shots at drafting quarterbacks higher? Should they keep trying to draft one high every other year until they hit? Does that approach need to change? The Titans are a great case study. Yes, they did. And people forget that they also drafted Malik Willis in 2022, but that was later in the rounds. I think he was like a 4th or 5th round draft pick. They liked Will Levis. They drafted Will Levis in the second round. I remember he was drafted shortly after Joey Porter Jr. in that draft class, 2023. And I think that, they gave him a shot and it didn't pan out. And so they basically now are the number 1 overall pick. They really like Cam Ward out of Miami. I don't know if the Steelers should do that unless it's a draft that they really do like the quarterbacks in it. I don't see this as being that type of draft. Like Tyler Shuck, what is that guy going to be, like 35 years old this year? I don't know. It just doesn't add up for me. So don't draft a quarterback unless you can see, like okay, we're going to draw the comparison to the Titans, right? That's what you wanted to do. Will Levis, people thought that he could actually be the guy. So you draft him because he could be the guy. If you're not drafting a quarterback to be the guy, then what are you doing? Like, then you draft like a Brian St. Pierre. And those that are old enough remember Brian St. Pierre. He was drafted out of Boston College and he was just going to be a backup. There was never a thought that Brian St. Pierre was going to unseat Ben Roethlisberger, but they needed another quarterback on the roster, so they draft him. Dennis Dixon out of Oregon. It's a similar story. The Steelers need to take quarterback serious. You can't expect a 3rd or 4th or 5th round pick to just turn into Tom Brady. That's an aberration. That's not the norm. That's just my own take. Let's finish this up as we always do with Steeler fan 69 with some dad jokes. He said, "Hello, friend. My wife will let me listen to her audiobook, but I accidentally deleted it halfway through. Now I'll never hear the end of it." That's a good one. Next one. What is a Jehovah's Witnesses favorite band? The Doors. If you know, you know. And last one. I tried to organize a hide and seek tournament, but good players are hard to find. Very good. I thank you all for listening to the podcast. For those that chimed in and helped out with the mailbag segment, remember every Tuesday I put that tweet out and you can definitely put in your questions. I'm sure that by next week we'll have more questions, as I'm sure it pertains to the quarterback position, but that's just the nature of the beast at this stage of the game with the Steelers not having a signal caller. Make sure you check out SteelCurtainNetwork.com for all your Pittsburgh Steelers news and insights right there. Again, SteelCurtainNetwork.com, totally free. Check it out. And also check out all of our podcasts, including the Steel City Insider podcast coming up today around noon. That does it for me. We finished it out. Be safe, be kind, and God bless. Have a great rest of your week, folks. We'll see you on Friday. Go Steelers.